Hi, I'm Mitch Gallagher. Welcome to Sweetwater's Guitars and Gear. This time out, a fire-breathing amplifier from Friedman amps. Let's get started. The amplifier beside me is the PT20 amplifier from Friedman amps, and we're running it through the PT112 cabinet, also from Friedman amps. Now the PT120 is a 20-watt all-tube amplifier, features two EL84 power tubes, three 12AX7 preamp tubes, has a built-in effects loop. Other than that, it is a straight-ahead modded plexi amplifier. The 1x12 cabinet is nice and compact. It's a sealed back design, which gives you a nice tight bottom end, and that's running a G12M creamback speaker from Celestion. Taking a quick tour of the PT20, what we have here is bass, treble, and mid-range controls, a gain control, and a master volume control. That's all that you need to crank out the tones. Now this amp is capable of a wide variety of different sounds, as we'll show you in just a second. Everything from cleaner blues type tones to really heavy rock tones. On the back panel, we have three speaker jacks. You can run a single 16 ohm speaker, you could run a pair of 16 ohm speakers in parallel, or you can run one 8 ohm speaker. We also have an effects loop that Friedman designed to be super transparent for putting in your time-based effects, things like delay or reverb. Let's listen to some of the tones that this amplifier can put out. I'm playing a Larry Carlton ES335 from Gibson Memphis. I've got the tone control set where the manual recommends beginning, with the bass turned all the way up, the mid-range set to about 8, and the treble set to about 5. I've got the master volume set to 4, so we're really not digging into the power amp section of the amp yet. We're still getting a pretty clean sound from the back end of the amplifier. Distortion is going to come from the front. This amp is plenty loud to take on stage. It'll really crank out volume, but you can also turn it down to a nice comfortable listening level for practicing at home. We'll begin with the input gain set to 2. I'm on the bridge pickup. For rhythm sounds, that's a really punchy tone. It really jumps out of the speaker, has a lot of articulation, nice solid bottom end to it, and a full mid-range. The top end of this amp is really smooth. It's not a harsh sounding amp at all. You can crank it up and it doesn't hurt your ears. At this gain setting, we've got enough drive to do a nice clean lead sound. That's a great tone for blues leads. Now we'll turn the input gain up to 12 o'clock. That's a big round tone, nice distortion there, a little bit of compression creeping into the signals, but we're still getting nice articulation and a lot of punch from this amp. It's a really smooth sound, a lot of fun to play. Here's what this gain setting sounds like when we're playing lead. Plenty of gain there for nice sustain. The amplifier is just on the edge of going into feedback. That's a really sweet tone for soloing. Now we'll push the gain up to about 3 o'clock. Lots of gain, lots of sustain there, but it stays nice and tight. The bottom end doesn't get mushy, doesn't start to break up too much on the bottom end. It's still nice and smooth, nice and articulate, and a lot of sustain. As a lead sound, this tone really sings. Again, a very singing tone there with smooth top end. Lots of pick harmonics that'll jump out when you angle your pick just a little bit. This is a really responsive amp. And speaking of how responsive it is, it cleans right up when you dial down the volume level as well. With this amp, there's really no need for channel switching because you can just dial back your guitar and get a nice clean tone. Now the other way to use this amplifier is to bring the gain down and to turn up the master volume. The amp gets a bit louder, but it actually is a little cleaner tone because you're getting that distortion coming from the back end of the amp. Let's set that up. I'm going to bring the gain back to about 2, and we're going to bring the power up to about 8. You can hear at this setting, there's less fuzziness on top. The amp's a little less smooth, there's a little more teeth to it, a little bit more bite, but it has great articulation and a lot of punch. Once again, it really sings when you're playing lead. It's a great sound for playing lead. It's really going to cut through a band well. Now, of course, we can bring the gain up when we have the volume turned up as well. If we set it to about 12 o'clock, we're going to get a nice full tone. That's a really fun sound to play. There's enough compression there to really make it easy to play leads. Still has articulation. You still hear the pick attack, a lot of harmonics there. The bottom end is still nice and tight. If you wanted to, you could dial back the low end just a little bit to tighten it up even more, but I find that it's a really nice, full, fat sound. I hope you've enjoyed this look at the Friedman Amplification PT20 head and PT112 cabinet. It's a great combination. Tons of different tones there, so responsive, so dynamic. It's really a fun amplifier to play. And it really brings together everything that David Friedman's been doing for the past 25 years, building amplifiers for some of the biggest stars in music. Thanks for joining me for Sweetwater's Guitars and Gear. Be sure to tune in next time. We'll have more guitars, more amps, more effects, and we'll be making lots of music. I'm Mitch Gallagher.